First, my name's, of course, Patrick King. I'm the founder of Imagine. We're a marketing agency in, we have an office in Old Town Manassas, and we really cover everything from market research, targeting. People that have heard my talks before know that I'm a big fan of like persona development, and then we do all forms of like omni-channel digital outreach. So uh, everything from web development, SEO, search engine marketing, social media, branding, and obviously email. Um, so let's go ahead and get started. Today, I'm going to cover a bunch of different things. I'm going to cover content strategy. What should your content look like? How can you improve your opens? How can you improve your click throughs? Um, how can you make your content more impactful for your audience? And we'll talk about segmentation, how to personalize emails, how to automate, and then finally we'll talk about list management because really nothing is really uh, going to be effective with your emails unless you have a really healthy list. And we'll talk a little bit about scheduling to wrap things up. Um, Now, what I'm going to talk about today is pretty platform agnostic. There's not one particular platform that these are going to work for. The practices I'm going to cover are pretty universal. Personally, and with our agency, we prefer to use Mailchimp, but we know that these tactics can be implemented really whatever platform you're using. Let's start with subject lines. Um, the subject line is one of the most important things that you have in your email marketing arsenal, because if you do it wrong, your email goes nowhere, right? If you do it right, then you instantly have an engaged audience. So what I like to subscribe to when it comes to your subject lines is make sure that you have a blend of benefit and curiosity. There needs to be some sort of an intrigue, like, some drive to open it, but then there also has to be some what's in it for me. So a good subject line balances those two. Um, one of the tips that I try to give all of our clients, we practice ourselves, is making sure that your subject line is short. Usually at or around 9 words. Um, Now, obviously, those words don't involve like at or it or or the, but you want to make sure that the length of the subject line is about the length of 9 standard 5 to 7 character words. Next, um, I know that a lot of the subject lines that I see come in can be a little sensational, right? And then when I open the email, it's a womp womp. There's really, it's not there. The curiosity that I had was not really satiated by the email. So make sure that you're not going over the top with your subject lines to mislead people into opening, because you'll only fool them once. Next, inspire a sense of urgency. Usually, time sensitive promotions work pretty well. Um, Make sure that if there is a deadline or promotion end or something like that, then make sure that you include that in a way that's it's not spammy, but you're letting somebody know that they only have so much time to act on whatever's on the email. Another great approach that we like to use is to ask a question. Ask a question about the audience. Ask a question about something they may be interested in. Sometimes turning a statement like like um, 4 out of 5 brides prefer X. Do you? And then that can be enough to get them to open. And finally, avoid spammy lines. And by spammy lines, I mean things like act now, or putting something like get this for free. Things that are just they're cheap shots. They're there are a lot of the things that you see in the spammy emails that you get, a lot of the subject lines that kind of make you want to act a little too impulsively, and or maybe a little hard to believe, a little too over the top. So make sure you avoid spammy lines like that. So that's subject lines. When we go into the content of the email, there's one important thing that I like to share, and that's with blog posts, with social media, with even with press releases, and especially with email, and that's that people don't really care to read that much. So you want to make sure that the copy that you do use, distill it, make it as easy to skim and as impactful per line as possible. The examples that I show here are from a site that I really love looking at for, to see how other companies are innovating when it comes to email. And it's quite a simple website. It's reallygoodemails.com. You don't need to sign up or anything. You go there and it's just a feed of a bunch of great looking emails. And when you click them, it helps explain what makes them great. So it's a great educational resource. In the emails that I show here, these are not the exception for great emails. The content is really short. They're graphically dense, and really they only really want you to do one, maybe two things, and that's it. There's not a lot distracting from the main purpose of the email, and they don't expect you to do a lot of reading. These aren't war and peace. It's very simple, really easy to skim emails. Okay. Next, and you'll probably notice this from the previous emails, is the buttons all jump out. I mean, when you send out an email, you typically want somebody to take a particular action, maybe two different actions. But if the link that you want somebody to click is a line of text, or it's buried in a paragraph, or it doesn't show in the immediate display of the email, you're not going to get the response that you're looking for. Most people are looking at their emails on their phones now, so putting links in text, it's going to make it's not as easy to tap. So any type of buttons, any type of action you want somebody to take, make sure that you're using buttons. Make sure that you make it clear that it's really direct and easy what you want the audience to do. Next, and I know I'm jumping here, but while time was running out, I was like, all right, well, let me pull a couple slides out so we can just make sure that you all get exactly what you want here. Segmentation. So with every email platform, you have the ability to set up different lists. And that's vitally important when it comes to creating and sending content that people are actually interested in. And there are a number of different ways for you to set up those lists. What we like to do for our clients is do our persona development exercise, which if you heard me speak anytime over the past few months, then you know very well what building personas looks like. But you want to group your audience as a whole into smaller chunks. And depending on what your organization is, your business is, that's going to be a little different. It might be more demographic. It may just have to do what's their household income, what's their occupation. If you have a business to business or company, then you're looking more like what's their job title, stuff like that. If you're more B2C, then you might be looking more at like psychographic or behavioral. Let's say for wedding vendors, you're going to have a number of different personalities that you're selling to. It may be the bride. It may be a wedding planner. It may be the mother of the bride. So that's one opportunity for you to split things out by certain characteristics of that audience, because what you're going to say to that segment of the audience may be a little different, because that segment of your audience may have different priorities. They may have different opinions. They may have different preferences. And by segmenting and sending emails out to just that small segment of your audience, your message is going to have more impact. It's going to mean more. And on this slide, I just show a bunch of different ways that you could slice and dice your audience into segments. And there are tons more. I'm sure the more specific that you get about your business, the more you're going to realize that there are a ton of different ways to split things up. Now, I'm not saying that each email segment should only have one or two people in it. Then you're going a little too far. But to have for a small to medium business, typically you want to have about 5 to 7 segments. And it can include these. It can include things that are a little more specific to your business. Now, in your email marketing platform, creating segments is really easy. This is just an example of how MailChimp does theirs, and there are tons of different conditions that you can use here. It could be recent purchase. It could be new signups. It could be, and by new signups, I mean people that maybe just signed up for your newsletter within the past 6 months. And it doesn't stay with just those people. Anytime somebody signs up for a newsletter, they're added to that list and stay there for 6 months, and then they graduate. And it stays a fluid list. And so you don't have to create segments all the time. Whenever somebody signs up, just by their actions, they could be added to a new segment. And that helps a lot with automation. It helps a lot with list maintenance. And it'll also help a lot with your reporting too, because with these segments, you can see what their click rates are, their open rates. You can see how engaged they are at different stages and with different characteristics. So maybe over time, you'll have 5 to 7 email segments. One's not performing that well, but you notice one of your segments is really big, and maybe you could split that off. So you get rid of one segment, split one into two, and it's a way for you to refine and get a lot more intelligence as to what your audience consists of. Okay. All right, personalization, which is one of my favorites. Every person that you send an email to is going to have their favorite word, the word they love to hear, and that word is their name. And with personalization, you're able to add that. You can add it in the subject line, you can add it in the body, and it's not just their name. You can add different things about them. You can add their business. You can add their city. Uh, you can add really anything that you know about them, because a lot of these email marketing platforms give you custom fields where you can add in um, different things that are unique about your customer base. This is an email just copied and pasted that I got about 2 weeks ago. And I'm not in the business for programmatic social media, but I kept the email because it's a perfect example of how you can personalize. So they start with my name. Yes, that's me. But following up on last note to say nice work on the quarantine beard. Clearly, they've been paying attention to me on social media. Skip down a little bit. Here are a few mock-ups I made for Imagine's partners. They know the company. They also know they know clients. They know which platforms our clients are on. This might be a little more individual than something that you may be able to automate, but the final line, buy you a beer or three at CJ Finn's or the Bone, they know right where my office is. It's right upstairs from CJ Finn's, and the Bone is a block over. And they paid attention to me on social media because I'm a craft beer fiend. So a lot of this can be automated. You set up your custom fields in whatever email platform that you're using, and you can add this stuff in so that when you have an automated email, it just has a little tag, like tag for hobby, or tag for local, or tag for company name, tag for relationship to the bride. There are a lot of things that you can put in here that will make an email jump out because it just seems like somebody took the time to just email them directly. Okay. And with personalization and segmentation, we would not be complete if we didn't talk about automation for a little bit. Automation, it could be a little challenging to explain, but basically what you're doing is you're setting up a set of emails. There's a schedule of emails. Let's say that the emails are 1 week apart from each other. The first email is an introduction, right? Somebody signs up for your list. You want to be able to send them an email right away that says, thanks for subscribing. We think you're the best and hope that you get a lot out of our emails. Something to that effect. Well, with automation, the most basic form is your autoresponder. Whenever somebody signs up, they get an autoresponder. Well, 7 days after that, they get another email that talks to them personally. You've done your segmentation, so it talks about things that they care about in a way that they like to be communicated to. And then 7 days later, they get another one. And it's like you're sending emails to them, individually, but you're not. But you're giving them the feeling that you're giving them personalized attention. So you can set up these workflows. So as soon as somebody joins joins a certain segment, and it could be by a certain type of form, it could be what they enter into an opt-in form, it could be, back when we could see each other in person, it could be signing up at a bridal show. Having somebody in a segment with the information that you need can set them up for follow-up emails, into the foreseeable future. And it's not just broadcast. It's not just they get these emails forever until they sign out. That's kind of boring. Instead, what automation allows you to do now is create conditional emails. So they get their introduction that, we're glad you had interest in us. We hope you get value from the emails that we're sending, yada, yada, yada. And in that email, in that introductory email, you can have a list of categories that maybe they might be interested in. Or there could be an offer in there, just a simple one button offer. If they take that offer, then they get another set of a different set of emails than, let's say, if they didn't react, if they didn't open, then they would get another email as a result of not opening, and so on. So you have this, it can branch out, it can become very, very complicated. But now you're responding and you're reacting to their actions without necessarily having to react to their actions every single time. Also, based on the actions they take, you can create potential segments out of that. So you're learning more about your audience, and your audience is kind of self-selecting where they want to be. Now, granted, if they just don't respond to anything, typically what we like to do is we'll give about 3 to 6 months. If a portion of the audience doesn't respond, if it's a big portion of the audience, we're in trouble. But if there are only just a handful of people that just don't open the emails, they haven't cared to unsubscribe, then we set up another automated email that goes out about 3 to 6 months out going, hey, we noticed that you haven't opened the emails, you're not interested, is there something we could be doing better? And that's an automated email too. So not only are you doing the follow-ups, you're doing follow-ups for the follow-ups. It can be it can get to be a lot if you let it. But automation is a very, very powerful thing. So let's talk about list management for a minute. And the most important point of list management is never, ever, ever buy a contact list, because everyone on that list, no one knows you. Nobody's interested in getting your emails. And by getting an overwhelming number of unsubscribes, you're really setting yourself up for every other email you send to go to the spam, go into the spam folder. There is reputation management as far as your website. There's reputation management as far as social media, and there's also reputation management when it comes to email marketing. You don't want to get a lot of unsubscribes. You don't want to get a lot of bounces. You want to and for the people that send out like blast emails to everyone on their list, they're really setting themselves up for getting a lot of bounces, getting a lot of unsubscribes, um, and ending up in spam more and more often. So a few tips for keeping your list healthy is first, cut those bounces regularly. Go in once a month, take a look and see what your email performance is. And if you have a lot of hard bounces are this email address doesn't exist anymore. Soft bounces could be maybe there was an auto response, or maybe the server was just down. Something that is not necessarily fatal, but hard bounces, you need to make sure that you're taking them off your list as you find them. So about once a month, maybe once every other month, if you don't email that often, go in there and just pull them from your list. Those emails are not worth anything to you anymore. And if you cut your bounces down, you'll notice that your open rates go up because you're dealing with, it's a percentage of a smaller group of people, and the email clients are going to be happier about that. So cut out your hard bounces. Next, don't be afraid that your segment only has like 30 people in it. If you have 30 people that are opening and clicking through your emails, that's a whole lot better than having, say, like a list of 5,000 people and only 5% of them open. And the reason why I say that is just for that reputation management, because because ISPs, they know when spam is coming out. So if you have a very healthy list and the majority of your people are engaged, then that's going to help you out in the long run. Next, quality over quantity. Don't send out an email because you feel like you have to. Unless you have something that's really valuable to your audience, don't bother with it. If you have a monthly newsletter and you don't have news that you think your audience is going to care about, it's better to not send the newsletter at all, because that'll show your audience immediately and over time that the stuff that you're sending out is really valuable to them. Next, make sure you have opt-in forms on your website, and I'm not just talking about having a sign up for our newsletter down in the footer that nobody's ever going to use. There are some tactics that you can use to that will actually have people sign up for your newsletter. One is make sure that it's highly visible on your contact us page, because even though somebody may decide they're not ready to contact you yet, they might sign up for your newsletter. Also, there are plugins for, I know there are plugins for WordPress and Drupal. There probably are for Squarespace and all those other do-it-yourself builders too, where when somebody mouses off of the page and they go up to the address bar like they're going to leave, a quick pop-up comes up and says, hey, before you go, sign up and you get, if it's free commerce, it's 15% for next order. You sign up. If it's services, it's get monthly tips straight to your inbox, stuff like that, and that stuff actually works. Finally, and I can't stress this enough, if you're sending blast emails out of Outlook or Gmail, you're really hurting yourself. If you're sending out an email, if you're sending out BCC emails, which is basically you email yourself and you BCC this long list of people, really you're causing a lot of damage to your domain's reputation. You're violating canned spam laws, which is like a federal thing, and you're not getting the data that you could get as far as open rates, who's clicking, how many opens per person are you getting. you're missing out on a lot of that data. And with MailChimp, they have a free tier, so you don't even have to pay for it. You get all of that analytical data, and and it's totally free. So definitely use a platform. Don't send those BCC emails anymore. I think that I did a video I put on YouTube because somebody asked me if it was still a good idea, and I was amazed that somebody asked me. Don't do that. Don't bad. Don't do that. Um, big question that we get with clients is, when is the best time to send out an email? And the, while there's not a simple answer, because each business has their own nuances and each business is different, uh, there are some things that you can rely on. And that is, typically the best day to send out an email is on a Tuesday. Um, the big wave of stuff that comes in on Mondays has passed. They're giving a little more attention to their emails. They're starting to work on a backlog of work. So they're paying more attention to emails on Tuesday. If you send out 2 emails in a week, make sure you do Tuesday and Thursday. And Wednesday is also popular, but it's nowhere near as popular as sending them out on Tuesday and Thursday. And what about time of day? The best times, and this is surprising, 10 a.m. is not that surprising. Back when we used to go into offices, we'd get settled in, grab our coffee, and then open up our emails, or we've gone into that 10 a.m. meeting and it's really boring, so we pull up our phone just to see if we're missing any emails. So 10 a.m. makes sense. 8 p.m. kind of for the same reason. I get that. Dinner's over. You're checking your social media. You're checking your email. 2 p.m. Once again, lunch is over. You're starting to get into that social media mode again, and social media, emails. But what I found surprising is that 6 a.m. is popular, because there's so many emails that people that come in at like 7 or 8 a.m. that conflict with that. But click-throughs, opens, overall engagement is much higher at 6 a.m. than it is, say, at 7 or 8. So those are some good times for you to shoot for. So to put all this together, I've created this nice little graphic. You want to take a screenshot of it. These are the tips for you to follow as your blueprint for making sure that your email is effective, that you're not wasting a lot of time, you're not damaging your domain's reputation, and that you're growing a list and not just sending emails to the same people over and over again, just waiting for them to unsubscribe and opt out until you have a list of no one. All right, I got that done in 27 minutes. All right. If anyone has any questions, feel free to fire away. If you don't right now, but you may in the future, here's my email address, phone number, website, and I'll pass it back over to Rebecca.